This is Leading Lions Checkmate, hosted by yours truly, Joseph Royster. Hey man, I just want to give a great shout out to everybody who made it to the year 2022. Here we are, once again. I have my big homie Alex with me, man. Hey,
you just free flowing or just?
Well, right now I'm free flowing, but in terms of conversations or topics I want to talk about,
you have to have some foundation in your life.
Forget the foundation, or they don't go back to the foundation of what your purpose and your values,
right.
Like your belief system with God. Like, I guess like, what was it about your relationship with God that kept you grounded?
Just my family, all that started because, I went to. My dad was wanting to be a priest, and when he came to the United States, he met my mother and got pregnant with me. But we was always at church for something.
Mm-hmm.
And even my family, my grandfather, when he had his massive heart attack, he never used to go to church all that often. But before he went into surgery, because he only used to go on Easter, holiday church.
Right.
And he told God if he pulled him through this, he'd go to church every day.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept his word. And so I think it does matter who's in your life when you're growing up,
mm-hmm.
Or even as you never stop growing. So
right.
It matters who's around you and what they actually want. Because I can tell you, between my grandparents and my parents, they're totally different relationships, they're totally different mindsets, they're totally different values. I mean, some of the things intermingle because they come from their family. Right. But all that came from my mother and my grandmother, because we used to say, like, they'd go to church, and then they worked hard to send us to Catholic school. Like I went to Hamity one year in pre-K, and I was getting my ass kicked on the bus all the time. So
right.
my mom said, we're not going there no more. And then she sent me to Duquette after that for 2 years, and then we moved to the east side, and they ended up sending me to St. John Vianney or Charolais. And so but they always struggled to make sure we had a better education than what could be provided by public school,
Right.
And because we went there, we always had some type of morality,
right,
class. Right. Maybe it wasn't always, some things aren't always right what's said in some places, but it's like, we always had to go to church. We always had to pray. We always had some type of education in right and wrong every day, and to find what that means to you. Even at a younger age, like you might just talk about the Bible, or you might just talk about how the service of church goes, but that made a difference. And so seeing how my parents were, everybody prayed,
mm-hmm.
and that was a big thing, and they still do to today. But I just, somewhere along the line, I lost sight of things because I thought, well, hardships came in my life that I didn't expect. And they closed my church that I used to go to, and that hurt me. And the people doing it did things wrong. Like they closed all the churches on the north end, and then they told us They told us one thing, and then they did another. So it's like there was too much politics and business mixed with faith. So, and maybe sometimes that's evil at work because it's like trying to split you off from things. But I think after I graduated high school, because I went to Powers too, so then we always did music, that's how I learned how to play the guitar. So a lot of skills I learned, even though they aren't always sacred, I learned how to play the guitar and piano and things like that. It came from being at church and having faith, because my family, that's where we did things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think after I graduated high school and moved on and started doing things my own way, that's when I started to lose my faith, because I just was getting mad about things and bitter about things. And I took classes on philosophy of religion,
right.
And like we talked about yesterday, you only got two choices. You can either do this, the will of God, or you can do your own will,
right.
And I think that's what I got on, was my own deal, because I started reading things, other philosophers, other things like that, and just questioning how the world works and how the universe works. And I'm like, this kind of makes sense, but why is it every time I go to church or I go to a funeral or I go to something, I feel at home? That's an odd that makes me. It's confusing to me sometimes because I'll be sitting there like, okay, if I'm not really totally into this, why do I have this feeling still? So that's got to be something.
Right.
You know, you don't just have a feeling of warmth and love and all that just sitting somewhere for no reason. So,
you know what? When I think about some of the people that were really kind-hearted people, they weren't always the most religious person.
Right.
You know, like they weren't like just this churchy person or like this, but one thing that I've always learned about a lot of those people who were really passionate and caring, like they were always surrounded by like people of faith and like they believed in something bigger than themselves.
Right. Well, that's how, like, even if you want to talk about atheists, that, you know, the thing about atheism, and some people can go on about, and some just like there's extremists and everything. Some people just, there is no God, there is no this, there is no that. Mm-hmm. But people with reason would know that you don't have to go about doing things that way, because at the end of the day, what do atheists have to fall back on to do good? They have no reason. There's no good or bad to be. You know, there's no scripture. There's nothing to tell them. So where does the morality come from?
Right.
They do things out of their own heart and love and care because they know it's the right thing to do. There isn't a necessity for a supreme being or God or something of that nature.
Yeah, and that's why I don't get too hard on.
Yeah.
I don't get too hard on people when it comes to scripture, because like I look at a lot of the things in books as a foundation just to be able to teach you something about life. Like when you look at Buddhist monks, you know, they're not Christians, but they understand peace and what does peace look like and how do you quiet your mind, meditating, and, you know, I think
you talked about detachments.
Yeah,
that's a core principle of Buddhism. You know?
Yeah,
because you get so connected to things, whether it's another person or a pet or your home or a possession, but you can't take it with you, and you can't do anything about some of the stuff going on with the people that you have in your life. So don't get yourself attached, you know, and that's hard to do, because that's why people have such issues with breakups in relationships or death, because they don't know what to do without these people sometimes.
You know, when I think about what you said too, just about attachments, even from a religious standpoint, right? A lot of people even get attached to religious points of views, and when they get attached to it, then they use that as a weapon towards people. Like when it comes to conversations, it's like, well, my God is this, and you know, you're going to hell. And it's like, you know, like to me, when I hear that, it's like, you thinking too hard on what you believe to the point where like you can't put yourself in another person's shoes who doesn't understand.
Right.
Me talking about God isn't bigger than what you're going through.
Right.
I can throw scriptures at you and you don't understand because you might have a mind of a child, because you're still thinking from a place that's only from a perspective that you can understand.
But even the Bible tells you that in the Corinthians.
But that's exactly. But a lot of people don't have that. And when it comes to people with wisdom, they have patience. And people with patience, they're not going to argue with you about something you believe is true. And they're able to understand why you may feel this way, but they're able to reason with you. And it's like, you know what, I understand. I used to be like you. You know, I used to think just like that, so I get it. You know, like a lot of people with patience can have that empathy to put their self in another person's shoes to say, you know what, I'm not even, you know, I can't argue with you because I used to be just like you, man.
Right.
You know,
it's all has to do with realization.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's self-realization or you talk about God realization, you know, you have to realize that, like you said, the bigger picture. But then, just like, because I heard that in a song, like, the lyric was something like, they wanted to talk about God. They were talking about a preacher and how he wants to talk about the devil all the time and evil, and it was like, well, how about we talk about God realization, but he only wants to talk about the evils of fornication. So it's like, what is your message? You know, you trying to damn everybody every day to hell, but you're supposed to be trying to help them realize, well, their greater good and their greater potential, so they can do the greater good of God.
You made me think something. You made me think about something too. Part about life is this: it's life or death. And, that's the scripture. Like, life and death is in the power of the tongue. If you speak life into people, they have life. But if you speak death into people, they're not going to want to hear it. So, like, if you're not encouraging them or trying to self-realization, self-actualization, like you would say, you know what? I'm not going to tear this person down because it would be much better if I just built that person up. And I think preachers who try to talk about the will of God and them losing their life and going to hell and that they're damned, that's you basically destroying them, like, through words.
Right.
And I think they don't understand that because they feel like they're doing the right thing by telling the truth. But I think that's not really the truth if you're not speaking from a place of life,
Or love.
Yeah.
If love is if the Bible, no matter where you read, the Old Testament, New Testament, no matter whether it's in Judaism, Islam, the three Abrahamic religions, it's all about love, and that's, I think, what's missing in the world most of the time is people forget to do things. And love is a choice. Love is, there's different levels of it, but to take care of how, you know how it is to feel.
Yeah.
You know how it is to feel like shit. You know how it is to feel upset. You know how it is to feel grief. You know how it is to feel anger. So when you see somebody, whether they're a stranger or somebody why is that so hard to convey the love that you would want in the same situation?
Right.
So that really irritates me with people sometimes, whether it's my family or friends, because it's like, damn, we've been through a lot in life, and you should have been learning some things along the way with it.
Right.
So, but that's just me though. I love, to me, putting love out there is the best thing to do, because that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
Especially when people don't want to listen.
Yeah.
You may not want to listen to what I have to say. You may think I'm dead wrong, but I'm still here to listen to it. I'm still here to put my arm around you to tell you, okay, people care.
Yeah.
People care more than you think, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And that's a problem I have, because people don't. And people get anxiety over that too. You go to give somebody a hug, they throw you off because they're not used to that type of stuff.
That's true. I dated a few women, and like certain things they did, they said they never done something like that before, and it was like, wow, like to me, I'm thinking that this is normal to me because this is just how I love.
Right.
But like a lot of people don't love like that because they never had that natural affection.
Right.
And I guess something so normal to you because you could be raised off love, and some people are raised off survival.
Right.
And people who usually are raised off survival never really had true affection, true a person who really had true motives towards them. Everything was probably just being used, or I was just using this person for this. And I think those people experience those things. So once you're able to give a person a hug like that, they like, oh nah, this I don't know, like this kind of hurts. When it comes to like stretching something, like it's going to hurt because it's like exercising, working out. For the first time when you work out or exercise, you're like, I don't really like this, but like it's good for you though.
Right.
It's good for the health and your body, and you see the progression, and you see like how it benefits you in a way. And that's how I feel like love is. People who really aren't used to it, they gotta get in that uncomfortable place, and once they have it, it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it just becomes natural.
But you mentioned that, and I dated a girl at work one time. We were friends for 10 years, and I always had affection for her, and I always had like a crush on her and all that. And even when we first hired in, and I always, every time I had the opportunity, I always wanted to go out and do stuff, but we never did sometimes. And I remember finally after 10 years, like, she came to me with some letter and stuff and the letter had all this stuff in it about how she felt about me and how, why she was the way she was and things like that. And I remember the first time we we were at her house, and we were just sitting in her kitchen, and I bought her some flowers and brought them in the house and put them on the table. And she said, "Do you know, when I first met you, if you would have done that, I'd have probably thrown the flowers at you and ran out the house." And I said, "Well, no, I didn't know that." But that was my first realization into, like, not everybody's the same, and people have gone through things, and I didn't have a lot of relationships to base things off of. I only could go off of what my grandparents and my parents did, and they weren't the greatest examples all the time either. But I learned to, out of all my relationships, even in my current one, and it's not the best, but I've learned more patience. I've learned to listen, because that's the thing I do. I think this is the way things are because this is the way I thought this is how things fit, but not everything fit. You can't put a triangle in a circle, so it just doesn't work that way. But to actually listen and to give people their space when they need it, I think that's very important. And that's love there on its own, because you can see somebody just isn't comfortable with something, and it's uncomfortable for the people that want to love, though, because they don't know how to go about what they need in the relationship, because this is how you're fitted, this is how you're programmed to go about taking care of things and taking care of people, and when it's not either reciprocated or it's not accepted, it's like an error on the computer. Like, what, 404 pops up. What the hell is this all about? Like, what do I do now? Because I don't know what to do at this point.
Right.
But that's when you stop and start. And even if you don't learn in that moment, you stop and look at what's going on. And like we talked about earlier about the bro code and family, like, that's kind of, I guess, where that comes into, because you have to find the balance of what it is you value. I think everything always goes, balance in life always comes back to your values and your principles. And like you said, we talked about boundaries too. Like, what is it am I going to allow? What is it I'm going to accept and not accept? And if I'm going to allow some certain compromises with things, is that going to eat at me? Is that going to destroy my inner peace? Because am I doing these things just because, or am I doing it because it's out of love? And if you can't answer either one of those, then you better figure something out quick. So, but like I said, I just wish people could find the love they need in life, because it's important. Love, to me, love is everything. Love is a foundation, to me, from where I come from,
Yeah.
So,
something that spoke out to me is something that you said, like, what love is to you. And I think you spoke just not before you just started talking about love was the values of a person. And I think you need integrity, like, in some way, to really go to not compromise on those values. So, like, what does integrity mean? Like, what is integrity for you?
Oh, man.
Why is it important?
Integrity is the basis of your character. It's what am I worth? What is my word worth? What if I'm just talking and saying whatever just to go along with something, or to get you out of my hair, or whatever, or however it is, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I was talking to my stepson earlier today. I told him, I said, because he was telling me the conversation we had, he was just going, like, you got to have a conversation. Or I said, look, I don't really like talking that much as it is. The only time I talk is if I'm pissed off, or if I really got something to say. So it's not always the easiest for me, because I've gotten more introverted as I've gotten older. But integrity is, what is it I value? What is it? Yeah. Who am I? Yeah. What do I stand for? What am I gonna do? Like, in times of trouble, in times of struggle, in times of hardship, in times of love, in any time. That's what I'm gonna fall back on as a person to get me through something, whether I forget about it or it's in my face every day. That's what's gonna give me back my balance, because My integrity is who I am and what has built me to get to where I am, whether in everything I've gone through. So
Right.
it's important. I mean, it's just as important as balance, because that's part of your balance.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you cope with things, because when you can look back on what your values are, when you can look back and say, look, even when I was the only person speaking up on something, I still stuck to who I was. Now, that doesn't mean it's necessarily the greatest thing, because some people are miserable human beings, so that doesn't mean their integrity is the greatest. But for the most part, people that try to have, righteous thoughts and, proper integrity, I don't know how to word that, but
I mean that sounded right. Proper integrity.
It's important, because that's how you actually connect with people. When they look at you and they know, well, he said this and he followed up with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you earn trust. That's how you earn your ability to connect with people, is because everything you do, whether it's how you work, how you talk, how you pray, how you take care of people, that all comes in with integrity, because that's who you are.
Mm.
So it's hard, because you might want to just, I'm done with that, I don't want to do it. But the love you have tells you that's not right. And in my mind, coming from where I come from, maybe people shouldn't have, like my mom and dad probably shouldn't have stuck together,
Mm-hmm.
because they had a toxic relationship, and they only got married because they got pregnant with me. It's not really the best reason to get together, especially when you don't really know each other.
Mm.
So, and that's where I struggle with things in my own relationships, because I've had to filter through the stuff I learned from them that was all bad, and realize what I need to do as my own person in order to take care of relationships or be in one. And I find myself compromising a lot sometimes when I shouldn't. I compromise my values. I allow my boundaries to be overstepped, or I change the way I think about things because I'm tired. Sometimes it's just because I'm tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you know what?
I feel
You made
defeated.
me think about something. You made me think about something so important, and I think it's this. Even when you go back to scripture, right? The first compromise was Adam. Like when Adam, he knew right from wrong. He knew he wasn't supposed to do this, but he probably was tired. We don't know.
Right.
But he probably, he loved the girl so much that he was willing to compromise with her because of, just that love and attachment that he had for her. But I think he wasn't able to detach from his values, and that's what allowed him to compromise. And I think sometimes what ends up happening when it comes to ourselves and our lives, when we compromise, that's when things go bad.
Right.
And what I mean is, certain things you should like, you know what, I gotta kind of be that person, and I can't let this happen much further. I gotta put a sand in the line and confront this person on whatever they're doing and how it's hurting them. And not only that, but when you go back to that foundation, I think whatever your values are, when I mean by your values, that can look like God, that can look like your prayer life or whatever, where you might have to get that place of isolation. And you know what, this person did something that is like out of line. Like, now what am I supposed to do with this? I love them, but like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
And that might actually get into a quiet space and probably praying, meditating, or getting in a place where you can quiet your mind from what you want to do. You're all about forgiveness and giving people chances, but you also have to talk to what you know is true. And I guess at that point, what's the next step? Like, I can be a person who doesn't forgive, and I can just let you on your way and you can go and never talk to me ever again. Or I can be a person of reason, kind of like a parent, where you try to understand, why did that person do that? Like, you're going to talk to your child like, You're not just gonna just outrightly just kick your kid out the house. You're trying to probably figure out, hey, we need to talk.
Right.
Why did you break that window? Like, what wouldn't, you're trying to figure out, like, in this child's head, what made that kid do that? And then from that point, now you're able to, okay, so this is what I have to give this person. Like, whether that be negotiating with that person, like, hey, you got two options. I guess that's where you can be that person of leadership and be able to help delegate them and let them learn from their lessons. Because either whatever option they choose is on them, and that kind of shows you the character that they have if they choose the wrong,
So, but how do you, how do you let go then? Like, say,
it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
You're right. It's gonna hurt, isn't it? Because I have that situation in my life with the people that are my family right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's my girl and her son are almost identical in their attitudes towards life.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and sometimes it's I don't give a fuck. Like, and that's an issue I have, because it's like, I can't think that way. I just can't. It don't make sense to me, because how the hell do you go about mistreating people that take care of you, or not believing people give their all to love you and to want the best for you, and you still at the end of the day are just sitting there in your own little box, just being somewhat just not just aggravating, and just like, you're dead wrong, and you smiling and laughing about it. It's just like, that irritates the hell out of me, because you put so much effort and you put so much love into taking care of people.
Yeah.
And it's hard to let them go. Not just because of the investment of time, but because of everything you know about them and how much you actually care. Like, you would die for these people, but they don't even realize that.
You know what? You touched my heart just by just what you just said. And I think what it is just this. You have to show people how much you care. And what that's going to look like is you caring for yourself and letting them know how much you care about yourself. Because sometimes people they see that when you don't care enough, or there's not a balance between self and the other person that you love. You can't love another person more than you love yourself. You got to have a balance. There has to be an equilibrium. I'm able to put people first, but at the same point, I have to do things through me. So that might look like putting it in front of them. Hey, that really hurt me. And I don't want to go. They're like, what do you mean you're going? I have to leave because you did what you did. No, you don't. You don't have to leave. Yeah, because it seems to me you really don't value the things that are important to me. I truly care about y'all, and y'all hurt me, y'all run over me, y'all do all of these things to me, but where does my peace come from? Where am I finding peace at when all y'all do is destroy the things that I'm trying to create for y'all? And that's kind of like God. That's when God had to create that line and that boundary from with Adam and Eve. He still loves Adam and Eve.
Right.
The thing is, he's like, hey, I have to create a boundary where I have to do something to me with my peace. But at the same point, I know if y'all really care for me, y'all will change your ways. There's not to say that Adam and Eve could not, establish a different relationship with God, or, where God feels as if, like, you know what? I see that they're changed. They're trying now. They're understanding what they did that was wrong, and I forgive them.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we get to that place where we don't know how to detach from what we love. Oh shoot, we don't detach from what we love, and it's like sometimes the lesson is more important, because that's what saves souls. Like, if they don't understand where they're going wrong, what's going to happen is they're going to find out why they did wrong. They're gonna, when I think about relationships, when I have to just let them go. Most of these women, they reach back out. Hey Joey, I apologize, or I'm sorry for like how I handle things, and that doesn't mean I have to go back to that relationship, but that, because if I do go back and they do that again, whose fault is it? Is it
your own?
Yeah. But the thing is, they have to learn a lesson. They have to have a form of accountability. They have to hold themselves accountable, and then on top of the accountability, now how are you going to negotiate with these people so this doesn't happen again? So once they hold themselves accountable, they see the wrongs. Okay, now that you see the wrong that you're doing, how can we prevent this from happening again? What can we do now?
I think in certain situations like mine, like these people really have to heal whatever traumas are in their life. I can't fix them.
Yeah.
And that's not what I've been trying to. In the beginning maybe I was, because I'm like, damn, you haven't had real love. You haven't had tenderness. You haven't had someone that actually is listening to what you're saying and actually cares. Or
something you said just then kind of just spoke out to me of what really needs to happen is just healing. So what does healing look like? You can heal with people, but The thing is, are they willing to heal? And what I mean by that is, let's say getting a therapist. Let's say getting somebody who can intercede the relationship to see, like, can hold people accountable towards what they're doing wrong, and they're okay with people being honest with them about what they're doing and what you're doing, and you kind of just, I'm sorry, wow. Why? Because when other people see the issues that you have, it gives you two options. You can either keep going to therapy, or you can say, fuck it, I don't care about this shit, and I don't care about this family. And if you really care like that, then maybe you shouldn't be with your family then. Let's see what you not being around family looks like when you're alone. Are you really that self-absorbed? Are you really that proud to do things on your own?
I think that's just the way, like you said, some people grew up with love and some people grew up surviving. And I've even had that conversation with my girl sometimes. I said, even when things were good, like when I was still working in the factory and things like that, I told her, I said, what do you have to worry about now? I said, we together. I said, we all in the same home. I said, our finances were all right at the time. I said, so what is it that you need to actually sit down and take care of you? When do you stop surviving and start living? And I put that question to her, and every time I asked her that, she never had an answer. And I think they are comfortable in their misery, and it's become such a pattern. Like you said, it's gonna hurt. Sometimes you gotta let the stuff go, but it's like I keep getting reeled back in, because there's those moments of time where I'm like, okay, maybe things are getting better, or I feel like they are, or like people have been in other relationships since this one, but I know in my heart I feel like this is my soulmate, even though there's all kinds of stuff, problems and issues going on in her life she hasn't taken care of, because when we're together and things are all right, it just feels that way. And even with my stepson, we get, I mean, damn it, he irritates the hell out of me sometimes and aggravates me, because I try to listen, I try to talk to him, but it's just like I told you the other day. I said, I told him straight up, I said, I don't feel like I'm trying to tell you half the time.
Right.
I feel like I'm wasting my damn time. And then you wonder why I'm all quiet when I am around, because I ain't got nothing to say. Because I feel like, what shit, you don't care what I got to say anyway. It just hurts because, I don't know, I'm just not built that way,
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think when you know what a soulmate is, it's like, somebody who's attached to your soul. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. I learned that a long time ago by this woman named Cassandra Mack. Just watching her videos. But the soul is the mind. So whatever is really in your thoughts, your ideas, and whatever. Your will, which is your values, your direction and where you want to go in life, and your emotions, and your mind, will, and emotions. You already know what your emotions are. That's when everything you feel, you're connected to, and this is what kind of just allows you to feel empathy, like putting yourself in another person's shoes. You can see a reflection of that person within yourself. You see the things in yourself in that person, and you see.
But it's sometimes, not to cut you off, but it's confusing to me sometimes because I'll sit there and we'll go through all the bullshit that we go through, and then there's stuff that just we take care of each other still, even with all the drama and everything else that goes around along with it. It's like we still take care of each other. Like, even if we might have fought, she's still cleaning up the house. We've been together 7 or 8 years, and in all that time, besides a few cards and some weed every now and then, she ain't never bought me nothing. So the other day when we went out to the store, we was going to Kohl's, she bought me a pair of shoes. I damn near cried because that was the first time she ever bought me something.
Wow. Did you tell her how that made you feel?
Yeah, I told her how that made me feel because I was like, hey, you don't understand how much that means to me because that meant the world to me.
Wow.
Because it showed me you do be paying attention to what I be doing.
Wow.
And even my stepson, the same thing. We'll sit down and talk. And like when I left the factory, I took some of my money out of my 401k, and he was struggling and whatnot. And I had, we ain't really that affectionate either, and he needed his car fixed, and I helped him get it fixed. He gave me a big ass hug, which ain't something we usually do, and that meant a lot to me too, and that's just small shit, man. It's the small shit, and they don't realize that sometimes. Like, that's all I'm asking for is the tiniest bit of love in return.
Right.
If I got that, I wouldn't be mad about shit half the time because I know I'm being loved back.
Yeah.
And that's all I ask for. That's all people ask for is to be loved and respected back.
Wow.
You ain't got to sit there and tell me you're going to give me the world and all this other stuff. Just sitting with me in the living room watching TV and taking care of the house is enough for me. Just sitting around with the baby, your baby, and talking about watching him walk and just that's good enough for me. I don't give a shit about going out making money. I mean, that's important, but I don't care about that shit,
Right.
That's not important in life to me because at the end of the day, all that shit is man-made stuff anyway. What you got right in front of you is what is real, and that's what pisses me off.
You know what? You made me think about love languages. I could tell your love language is quality time, man, and not just quality time, but I think something that may be new for you is gift giving. And I don't know if you've ever had that before. Like, and something you've never been able to experience because people have never been. You probably do that for people. You probably give gifts often. And
right.
The way you probably. And a lot of people don't understand, like, your love language. And sometimes you may not be able to understand other people's love language. And there has to be some form of a reciprocation. If you really care, how much do you understand about the things that I enjoy? And like, you said it, just being around family and spending time playing cards, whatever that looks like, you love that. That's your bread and butter. That's what keeps you. Those little moments are pretty much valuable to you and they're important to you, and you have to be able to express that.
Right.
Same with her. I don't know what her love language is, right? But it could look like you doing something for her.
Just from what I've been from what she tell me sometimes, and the feelings I get overall is like, just being there is to her a big deal because, like she said, she told me I ain't never lived with a dude I've been in a relationship with since I was 16 years old.
Right.
So just moving from place to place with you and sticking with you through all the stuff you went through and everything else, that's a, and I cherish that. I really do. I really, and I respect that at the same time. But it's like, if we in the same house and you're just sitting in that room and I'm sitting in this room and we never do anything but what do you want to eat, and then you gone and I'm at work or whatever, that's, I don't know what, she just comfortable with that. She don't mind, but to me that ain't, that does, time to me, and it's, it's a saying, time is a precious commodity, and from a young age dealing with loss, I realized that's all you got is time.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Bible says you know not the day nor the hour, so all I got is time no matter what I do, every day, and that's because of my mother, because she always, everything was love with her. And sometimes she was, maybe that was too much. It was over affection, overly loving, kissing every time, and saying I love you every time, at the end of every sentence. Sometimes that's overkill, but when most of the world don't get it at all, it's probably good to get it at period. So,
Yeah.
I just learned to value time with people.
I think it really starts with you, though, And what I mean by that is, as much as you want people to see the vision and the perspective you have, they don't have that. So where else are they going to get it from? And they're probably the only place they're going to get it from is you. Until they either A, don't have it anymore, and then they have to learn how to create it themselves, or B, you kind of have to be that person to step in and create structure and foundation. And that's going to look like sacrificing certain things. You love and give, you're not expecting from it in return, because you know that this is something that God has blessed you with the survival that they've been through in life. They weren't blessed to understand the values you have. And I think what ends up happening is you kind of have to practice certain habits. You doing this every day, you understanding you're not trying to get a person to change. You're not trying to get a person to be something that they're not, but you're doing something out of your faith. And because your faith and your values are telling you to do this, after that book, you want to see some form of a change in your life. Whether that be you spiritually or you seeing something happening from within themselves. You said that this is your soulmate, so the thing is, if you're hurting, that person should be able to feel the same things. And how this person is hurt, I don't know if you may not understand it. If this person is being, in a different room than you, then maybe this person is going through something emotionally or mentally, right, where she's hurting and doesn't know how to express the things that she can to you. So,
and that's my fault, because of in our past, we've gotten into arguments, and we both I've thrown stuff back in her face because I've been so mad and just outraged about something. I'll just say it just out of spite, because I'm like, and that breaks the trust in wanting to talk to me. And that's why I even feel worse about it, because now I'm trying to rectify what I've done, as a partner. And at the same time, I don't know if it's jealous or I get upset, because she'll go out and talk to other people about what's going on with her, but she can't talk to me. And that bothers me, because I'm like, well, what are we together for if you can't talk to me about our life and what you have an issue with me? Because I really do listen, and I really do try to back off and take what it is you want into consideration, but I don't feel the same. I'm not doing things just so you do what I want you to do. I'm doing things because I want you to feel better. I really do. I'm tired of seeing you depressed. I'm tired of seeing you sad. I'm tired of seeing all the pain in your eyes every time I look at you. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of us not being able to be together and just peaceful and happy.
Wow.
It weighs on me, because I don't know what to do. And I don't like coming home to an empty house. I don't like coming home to just this quiet tension,
Right.
Like, and I ask her every day, how you doing? What can I do to help you? And I get nothing. It's like, because the lack of trust is there, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I think what's going to have to happen, I think, is just the attitude in your actions. You kind of, sometimes you can't lead with your words all the time. Sometimes things aren't going to just be changed based off of a conversation or,
right,
having a heart-to-heart with somebody. Sometimes it's just going to be just you. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you're going to have to do a little soul-searching and digging on whatever it is that you feel are things you need to work on in your life, because the moment you're able to, it was a scripture that says, before you take a plank out of your brother's eye, take the plank out of your own eye. So what that's going to look like is whatever you have that is blinding you from seeing what it is to helping somebody else. Maybe you need to take that out first so you can help them.
All right.
You know, before you try to take something out of somebody else or try to fix them. Maybe it's something that's blinding you from being able to see how you're able to fix somebody. So why not fix whatever it is inside of you first? So once you change that attitude and the posture, you know, like the way you look at life, you know, just sunny days, and you know, even through all of this chaos, it's still a good day, you know, and being positive and encouraging, and people going to see that. They're going to see how your heart is changing, how the posture of your belief and value is, and people going to like, where is this coming from, you know, like, and what that may look like is, you know, just separating the emotional attachment and start really focusing on yourself, you know, like, just, I'm not telling you to just cut somebody completely off of the face of the earth, and I'm just saying focus on you too, you know, like, what about you? Like, go to the gym, or like, we can actually be motivated, you know, to just look at life in a different way, like, you know, just having that conversation where, okay, you know, wow, yesterday I had a defeated mindset, you know, every day, but like, I feel like now I was just reminded to fight for something that I believe in, you know, and I think the only way you're able to do that is if you're able to tell yourself the things you know are true, you know what you know what is good for you, and you want the peace and satisfaction that comes with life and relationships and family and stuff, but how are you able to have that if you don't take care of you? You know, how are you going to have that if you're not happy all the time?
Right.
You know, like, if you're the one who's depressed, then how are you able to keep
someone else?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's going to be hard. So somebody's going to have to change, and it's not trying to tell somebody their issues and tell them where they're going wrong, but how about I
do that to myself?
You know, how about I go in some way encourage myself and uplift, and you know, do something that makes me feel motivated to help other people feel like they should be around me, because nobody wants to be around you when you just speaking definitely to yourself,
right?
And instead of life, you know, like, what that's, you know, you're not beating yourself up, you're not telling yourself you're stupid or you're ugly or you're disgusting or whatever. You're telling yourself, you know, wow, you know, I'm very thankful, like, for what I have, and yeah, life is hard, but like, you know, God never said life is going to be easy. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, so why not speak things into, like, you know, like the things that I want? Like, why not speak positivity? Stop condemning people, just like people in the church. Why not be that person to tell people about life and you know, like, just, you know, breathing, getting just the peace in it all, man, you know. And I think that's what's really important, man. Like, just breathing, you know.
Yeah.
The fact that you are alive today is why I'm happy, bro. But yeah, I was stuck in my misery and my sadness and my depression because of why this person isn't treating me right. You know, and I don't want to, family or whoever, you know, like, if somebody passed away and they didn't hear from me, and it's like, in my mind, I thought about that person. Why not think about giving that person a call? Well, if something came to my mind about calling somebody, why not just check on them? And hey, you know, you may not be in a good place, but maybe, hey, I'm just checking on you, seeing how you been, man. You know, I haven't heard from you in a while. And, you know, for the fact that we do that, you know, we done that sometimes, where it's just like, you know, just checking on you, at least just seeing how you been, or hey, Joey, you know, just checking on you, man. That's good enough, man, because it just lets you know that, you know, there's somebody out there who cares.
Right.
And why not be that person? You know, like, why not be that person? Because God will bless you, man. You know, like, the reason why we're in this room together today is because we've done that for each other, and not only that, but God gave us that time to be able to just, hey, just have this time in this moment to just speak. out of our hearts and our mind and our emotions, man. So I think that's what's really important, bro.
Yeah, definitely. It is.